Let's see how we can create a purchase order. The first step is to log into the system. So let me log into the system. Okay. Okay. So once you log into the system, go to the buying module. That's where we create the purchase order. So in order to create the purchase order, you need to have two things. One is the supplier has to be created. Second, the item that we are planning to purchase has to be in the system. So let's see how we can create a supplier first. So when you go to the supplier module, you can see the list of suppliers that are already available in the system. Let's create a new supplier here. So I want to create in a full form over here so that it's fully available. So I'm creating the supplier. So okay, it's a distributor. So billing currency, since I'm doing in India, it's a billing currency can be default. So I'm not going to change it. So I just save the supplier. So the most important thing is to give a contact address for this customer. So I go into the contact and address tab, click new address, and so I give a pin. Nakulam number 34. So that's so you have the address over here. So this is an in-state transaction, so I'm just selecting the tax category as in-state. Okay, so when you save it, so it goes back to the supplier automatically. So you have the address here. Okay, if you have, for example, tax categories in-state, you can set up the tax category over here. If you have the tax details like the GST and other information, you can set it up over here. Okay, so save it. So you have a supplier ready here. So once you have supplier ready, the next stage is like creating an item. So in order to create an item, go to the stock module, go into the item sections. So you have many items that are already created over here. Okay, so I'll just open up an item and just show you how an item is created. So you give the item name, the item code is all created, added here, and the HSN code is there. So if it's a stock item, you have to just select the maintain stock. Okay, and any additional information you can add over here. So how you create it is like just click the add item, give an item code over here, enter the item name, select an item group that where the item belongs to, HSN SAC, and if there is an opening stock associated with the item, give it and just save it. Or you can enter it in detail like this. Okay, now you have the item ready, you have the supplier ready. The next step is to create the purchase order. So go into the buying module, click purchase order. So you can see the list of existing purchase orders over here. So in order to create a new purchase order, click add purchase order. The first step is like selecting the supplier from whom we are planning to buy products. So I'm selecting a supplier over here. Maybe the supplier name is auto populated, and you can see over here if there's a supplier is having an address, it will automatically come over here. So otherwise, let me try to select a supplier who already has an address populated over here. Okay. Okay, so this supplier has all the address details populated. You have the shipping company shipping address, the billing address, all those information are populated automatically. So this is where you mention when the item need to be delivered by the supplier. So I'm selecting it as a delivery date, and this particular field is a customized field, so you can ignore it. So it won't be available in the default options. So this is to relate this purchase to a sales order. Okay, so once you have the required date ID, now the most important part wherein you select the item that needs to be purchased. So you select the item. So if there the rate is already associated with the item in the system, it will auto populate. So I give 100 quantity. Okay, you can see additional information regarding this product by clicking the edit button. Okay, so here you can mention which warehouse we need to receive this particular item when it is delivered by the supplier. So I mentioned it as stores. Okay, so I'm going to add one more item over here. I'm giving a quantity of 50. One thing that you can notice over here is the moment I add items, depending upon the tax that's associated with the selected items, the tax gets automatically calculated over here. Okay, so if you want, if you know that the supplier provides an additional discount, you can mention the discount over here. Two ways the discount can be mentioned. One is the net total and the grand total. Net total is actually, it is the discount will be applied on the rate over here, and the taxes will be calculated post the discounted rate. If it's on the grand total, the discount will be on top of this particular amount, the grand total over here. Okay, now if there are any terms, payment terms associated or terms and conditions associated, okay, you can, so this will be actually printed in the purchase order, which will be handed over to the supplier. Any payment terms, you can just select it over here. So I'm just not taking mentioning anything. Okay, now once you have it, save it. Okay, if you're sure that you filled all the information required for this purchase order, submit it. Beautiful. Now we can so you can just print out this purchase order. So this is a default purchase order format that you get within the system, or if you have any custom formats, you can do this. Okay, you can create your own purchase order formats suitable for your organization. Okay, so once you have the purchase order, you can see the status changing to receive and bill. That means the purchase order is ready to receive items. So when the supplier delivers these items, go to the purchase order, select the purchase order, create purchase receipt. there may be cases where the supplier may not deliver the whole quantity in one shipment. So in that case, multiple shipments has to be provisioned over here. So imagine first shipment had only 50 of these items. So you can just mention it as the accepted quantity has to be updated it as 50, and the second quantity was delivered in full, so you can mention 50. So by default the accepted warehouse is stores I. This we had already mentioned in the purchase order. If there is any change, you can just change it over here. Okay, the taxes are automatically updated. Okay, and address and contacts will be automatically populated. So you don't need to do anything more, just save it. Okay, and submit it. Okay, now you get a second shipment probably after a few days. Okay, so what do? Again go create purchase receipt. The beauty of the system is that you don't need to actually remember how many was delivered earlier. The system will automatically deduct the previously delivered quantity. So here you can see, since we are already got 50 from the supplier in the previous shipment, here only the balance quantity is shown. So 50 is fine. So I'm just going to save it, submit it. So if you want to give a note to the supplier regarding the confirmation of the delivery, there's something called in-pass can be generated, and the purchase receipt note can also be provided to the supplier to confirm the delivery of the items. Or if you want to customize something, you can customize like this. Okay, cool. So once you have the purchase receipt ready, you have the purchase order, you have received items against the purchase against the order. Now you have to enter the purchase invoice that's being given by the supplier. So there are two ways that you can do it. Either you can create the invoice against the delivery notes that you had received, or you can create it against the purchase order. Either way it's fine. So how we do it is by purchase order. You have the purchase order over here. So now you can see the status is to bill. So if you have received two separate invoices, you can enter it against the delivery note. But if you have received invoice, single invoice for the sale order, it's better to enter it against the purchase order itself. So here create. See, you can notice here there's no purchase receipt here, since the system knows that you've already received all the ordered items. So it's the only step that's pending is purchase invoice. Okay, the most important part over here is, or by default all the fields are automatically filled. The most important part it is fill the supplier invoice detail. So that's mandatory over here. See cmd slash, I'm just putting a number. Okay, and the supplier invoice date. So these two are the most important things, so that the supplier invoice and our GST calculations are mapped properly. So all the taxes are there. Just validate this, save it. Okay, and submit. That's all. So you have come through a purchase order, received items against a purchase order, then invoiced it. Thank you.